Welcome to Staging the Third Act. I'm your host, Janine Escalier-Cato. And this show is about, by, and for baby boomers without children, navigating the third act of their lives without the focus of children and grandchildren. And I told you last show that I was going to have the renowned photographer Eric Lindbergh on, but he was called away to a special conference in Colombia. So I'm really excited for today's guest, who happens to be my husband, Glenn Cato. And this is really exciting for me because Glenn is someone I've always been in awe of. And today's topic is Zen and the art of golf. And what that means is we've been married 28 years and I'm still in awe of this man's philosophy of life, and his ability to focus in golf kind of represents how he looks at life. And I would like to share that with you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my husband, Glenn Cato. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Jeanine. How are you?
Thanks for being on the show at the last minute like this.
How could I resist?
Anyway, this is something, as you know, I've always been in awe of with you because you and I are total opposites this way, the way we look at life. But the way that you put a focus into golf, I know, is much bigger than the game itself. But how is it your focus and the fact that golf is so important to you and the way you approach the game with such precision? How do you see it as an allegory for your life?
Well, I see golf as a reflection on a person's character and the way that they carry themselves when they're playing golf is very representative of how they live their life. Myself, I like to be kind of controlled, be somewhat at ease in my game, but having a focus and having a target to shoot at is similar to how I live my life. I set my goals, I make a plan, and I execute, and then see what the results are. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. And that's how we learn things through life, is through experience. So when I play golf, it's more like going out and enjoying the outdoors, gives me a chance to exercise. You know, as we get older, we lose our flexibility, so I like golf because it keeps me a little more limber. When I'm playing golf, lots of times I'll walk the course, so usually that's about 5 or 6 miles. So it's a pretty good workout, really. And then you're swinging. You know, the club's, so, you know, a certain amount of times, maybe 80, maybe 90 times, so you know, you get a lot of exercise. But I see golf as a way to focus on my goals. I'm able to go about my routine on the golf course. Every shot, you pick a target, that's my goal. I think about what the plan is. Being out in nature, you're able to experience, is there a breeze? Which way is it coming from? Is it coming into me? Is it going away from me? Is it going from the right to left or left to right? And then all that is being calculated in my brain. And then I go, okay, this shot requires me to aim a little bit, maybe to the left if it's a left to right shot, or a left to right wind, and then I hit my shot, and then the wind usually carries it over that way, and hopefully 9 times out of 10 it turns out. But sometimes the shot doesn't work out. And for a lot of people, they'll get mad.
Exactly.
And it's not something that, you know, we're not professional golfers. So we're out there to try to enjoy the game, and that's the main thing, is enjoying the game, being out with friends, or even if I So lots of times I'll go out and I'll play, and I'm playing with people I don't know, but we make the best of it because they're enjoying themselves, or if they're not, I try to encourage them to look at the bright side of their shot, or, hey, you had a good shot the last time, you just remember that feeling and go with it. And lots of times that's what they do, and their game will improve.
We have mutual friends, and the husband, he's 20 years younger than you are, and he said to me, he said, Glenn, I'm just in awe of him. He's like my sensei, my master. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, nothing ruffles him. And he just, the way he approaches the game, he's just kind of in the zone, and everybody's flipping out, and there's Glenn just kind of in the zone. And I said, you know what, Mark? I said, that's how he looks at life. That's how he handles stress. That's how he handles the day-to-day pressures. And I said, why do you think we work as a team in our marriage? Because I am the total opposite. I'm an anxiety-ridden, emotional mess most of the time. And I don't know how I would weather life without the way that you do focus, and the way that you just kind of motor through life with, yes, things are going to come up, but it's all in how you look at it. So when you're golfing with people out on the course, and you told me various times men will throw their clubs, or they'll, if they don't get the shot right, and they're so into, winning, and then they'll take it and they'll throw it in the lake or whatever. How do you react to people like that when you're golfing with them?
Well, first of all, it kind of shocked me a little bit, but then I tried to talk to them and put them at ease, and let them know that they've had some good shots, and I praise them for the good shots, and to forget about the bad shots, because if they can hit a good shot, that is their potential. The fluke is hitting that bad shot once in a while, and there's no point in getting mad because it just affects your game.
Mm-hmm. I know that you normally golf in the high 70s, low 80s, normally. And I'll ask you when you come home, and I'll say, what'd you golf today? And you'll say, early 90s. And I'll say, Glenn, that's not like you. And you go, well, what are you going to do? It was a bad day. And I'm just like, wow. Wow. I mean, you don't even seem upset. Or one day, this is so funny, you came home and you were just going about your business, and I said, how was your game? And you said, fine. And I said, well, tell me about it. Oh, I shot a hole in one. I said, what? I shot a hole in one. I mean, the value that you place on a 90s game or a hole in one is the same. And I think it's because you don't look at life as good or bad. You look at life as today wasn't so good, but tomorrow will be better. Or yesterday was great, today not so good, but tomorrow. And I just love that you don't assign a personal value to life. It's sort of like it is what it presents itself, and we all have to adapt. And I've never met, I can honestly say this to my viewers, I've never met anyone in my life who can look at life that way. I spend most of my time, and it's worse as I've aged, I spend most of my time, as you know, worrying about what if, how will I handle this, what will I do, how, and it's exhausting. It is really, truly exhausting. And I look at you and I say, how does he do it? How does he do it? How does he maintain the same value of the good, the bad, and the in-between? And I think that's why you're such a good golfer, because you don't ascribe a personal, I'm bad, I'm a terrible golfer. You just say, well, that shot wasn't a great shot, but the next one will be better. How has that helped you in life, that attitude?
Well, what really helped me was when I worked in that foster group home with Koinonia, and one of their sayings was, acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. So I kind of look at that and apply that in my golf game too, because if I hit a bad shot, you just accept it and then you move on. Don't dwell on it. When I've had bad experiences in my life, and say like I made a mistake and something bad happened, you just have to accept the fact that that happened, and then think about it, think about what you could have done to prevent that or to avoid that happening in the future, and do that the next time something happens.
Do you think that your Japanese heritage has a big influence on how you view life in terms of, I know that you're Japanese American, you were raised American, you weren't raised in Japan, your parents did a fabulous job of assimilating you into the American culture because of their background and being interned during World War II. But atavistically, we all bring our heritage with us atavistically from generations in the past. And you were raised by grandparents who are from Japan. You had that influence. Do you think that has a big influence on how you see things?
Well, I think that my childhood, my upbringing when I was a child, and then going to school, had a lot to do with the way that I viewed the world. I went to parochial school from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade, and then after that public school, but in all the schools we had all different types of nationalities, so I had friends that were black, Chinese, Mexican, white, of different cultures. We all got along.
But I mean your Japanese influence.
So, like I was saying, my schooling was in a parochial school, but my father was Buddhist. So on the weekends we would go to Buddhist church sometimes, or maybe the Buddhist movies, culture events, things like that. So I was able to experience that also. So in a way, it was a very confusing time, because having two different religions in the household was very unique for a lot of people. But I was able to blend the good of both of them to form me.
That's interesting. That's really and I see the blend of both of them in you.
Yes, because in Catholic religion, everything about life is that there's going to be an end, and not knowing where you're going to go, but then they teach you to follow all the rules, all the commandments and everything, and you go to heaven. In Japanese culture or Buddhism, they see life as impermanent. Nothing is permanent. And in a way, that's similar. Most religions are very similar. Just that the way that the Buddhists look at life is that you don't know when you're going to die, but when you do die, people don't grieve as long as many other cultures. Matter of fact, when my father passed away, right after the funeral, basically it was a big gathering, and it's almost like a party. Then everybody's talking about all the good things. But my father taught me how to work hard. I started working in the store when I was 12. I was always hanging around the store when I was a kid, but I learned a lot, and I was able to talk to a lot of people that were a lot older than me. So I'm like 12 or 13 years old, and I'm conversing with people in their 60s and 70s. And that helped me a lot too.
And viewers, his dad died when he was only 17. So he didn't have his dad very long. And you also took over his business on K Street in Sacramento. Talk about that.
It was a shoe store in Sacramento, and my father passed away, and my uncle that worked with my father passed away just shortly after that. So my brother and I took over the store and ran it. And I was 17, my brother was 18, and since we worked in the store so much, we knew what to do. And we kept going for quite a while, and then we decided that wasn't what we wanted to do. And then we ended up selling it, then moved on.
The thing that amazes me too is the way that you integrate death into life is so beautiful. It really touches me. I went through the death of your mother with you, and she was an amazing woman. Excuse me, this is very personal, but his mother was an amazing woman. And she survived the internment camps and came out of it. I mean, she went to Harlem. After she was interned, she went to Harlem to live in Harlem, New York, as an 18-year-old woman in America, Japanese-American woman, to live the jazz scene. Now, I mean, how many women in the 40s did that? Not very many.
Well, it's totally different. Harlem was totally different than it was.
But it was still black and jazz, and a lot of women, single women, wouldn't have done that, but she did that. And she ended up marrying an African-American man after his father passed, who's the light of my life. Amos is the light of my life. Anyway, fabulous woman, came back, met his father, had 5 children, and thank God she did. She died at, 86? She passed it. And so I wanted to talk about death in his culture. Glenn was devoted to his mother as she was dying, as all of his siblings were, and devoted to her until she passed. He was with her and held her and told her it was okay. And then after she passed and he accepted her passing, he moved on into his life. And my mother's 91 and she'll be passing hopefully not for another 10 years or so. But the thought of me without her, I can't even breathe thinking about it. And I watched Glenn go through that process so gracefully, and his sisters and brother go through it so gracefully. And I think that is just the most beautiful thing, to be able to go through death, accept it as part of life, and gracefully go through it. It's like, I just marvel at people who are able to do that. And it doesn't say because you don't grieve, like I want to kill myself, I'm so grief-stricken, that you don't love deeply. And it's, again, back to your golf philosophy, back to Zen in the art of golf. It's acceptance. It's total acceptance. And I think the universe, and I say this all the time in my shows, the universe gives us things we may not see that I didn't expect me to have this in my life, but it's things we need. We don't see it as part of our life, but it's things that come to us that we need. And I needed Glenn in my life to calm me down, this torrential storm. And I have this really calm man who just steers his boat in the middle of a torrential storm, a hurricane. And he's calmly going through the hurricane. But so yeah, I think that is part of your. I love that you brought out the 2 influences, the Catholic and the Buddhist. I think that's a beautiful mix of how you look at life.
Well, the philosophies might be a little bit different, but the overall goals are the same.
Mm-hmm.
To be good to yourself, to be good to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Treat others like you would like to be treated. Don't be mean.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I try to do, like when I'm on the golf course too.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's not doing very well, I'll try to encourage them a little bit, or maybe point out what they might not know that they're doing. A few times I've done that. I've waited a while. I tell them that they're maybe shifting their weight or swinging down from the top too hard and throwing themselves off balance, and they didn't realize that. So I tell them to take a few practice swings and get the right feel, and then their games usually improve. And lots of times too, it's just a little tweak here and there, but that's all a person really needs in life too, is a little tweak.
I need big tweaks.
Yeah, I got to tweak you a lot.
That's so true.
But, like helping people in life, they're zigzagging and, you need to help them
But I have
straighten up and go in the direction that they should be going. And you don't realize it, but, they appreciate that. And you won't really know until maybe you're after you're gone.
I have another personal question for you about that same thing you're talking about. How you are so focused in golf and how you help people, and you help people all the time in life. You're always helping people, and you're always, when you watch to help people, you step out of your comfort zone all the time. But you do have a bit of a temper, and I'm surprised because you're such a perfectionist on the course. I'm surprised you don't get frustrated to the point of getting exasperated. Do you ever? Do you ever get exasperated with your game on the course?
Well, it's kind of like with our relationship. We have like a little fight and then it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I have a bad shot or hit a ball into the water or something like that, I might say something, oh darn. But then I just clean my club off, I put it back in the bag, and I go up there and I focus on my next shot. And that's what people should do in life too.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I tell people how we fight, they're just like in awe. We let it all out. We call each other every name in the book and it's done. It's like,
Exactly.
and it's done.
Right.
Done.
Get out of your system and move on.
Oh, I could never say that to my husband. Why? I could never, why? Get it out. And then it's done, and we've never held a grudge. Ever. In 28 years have we held a grudge. In fact, we'll have a fight, and 5 minutes later I'll go, I'm going to go shopping. Okay, honey, have fun. And that's
right.
it. And you're right, we don't hold in things. We don't stomp around, and we don't, get pissy with each other all day or night, or life's too short. Life is too short. But so how that's so interesting when you say you're on the course helping people with their shot, and that's how I know I've told you this a million times, but before I met you, I would drive by on the grassy knolls, Highway 65 and Sunset, which is where they built the freeway. I used to watch you when everyone was out there flying dual line kites. And this is in 1993, 94. And I would drive from Lincoln to go to my gym in Rockland, and I noticed you out there helping people with their dual line kites, specifically children and other people. And the first thing I noticed about you, other than the fact you were drop dead gorgeous, of course I'm going to notice that right away.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, you still are. But you were like, with your slick back ponytail down your back, and your tank shirt, your tank top, and anyway, we won't go into that. But you were out there. Second thing I noticed was you were constantly crouched down helping people, and that was so prominent in who you were, even from a distance. And I drove by, and the first thing I thought was, he's cute. Second thing, wow, he's always helping people. Third thing, he's taken. He's got to be taken. And another universal hand came down and put us together very, very authentically. I was walking my dog out there, and you just walked right up to me. I didn't even have to do anything. You just walked right up to me, and that was that. But I think that kindness factor is also part of your philosophy of life, and part of, I think, what you get from your culture. I really believe that the Japanese culture is that culture. It's a culture of we, not me. It's very much a culture of we help each other. We.
I think there's a lot of cultures around the world that have that same philosophy, just that it hasn't taken a hold greatly in America. But
It's sad.
it's hard to get by in America. But then again, too, you go to other cultures or other countries, especially third world countries, and you see what makes the people happy over there, and they're just simple things.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, it makes other people happy, be like a new car, or new TV, something material.
Yeah.
And in other countries, it's just simple things, just
Yeah.
having a good meal, or
Being with family.
eating with family, and
Being
that's
with
something that
family.
you always see.
Right. Right. So it's interesting how everything you approach is got that philosophy of focus, of acceptance, of don't take yourself too seriously. I love what you said. You said something about your best shot is who you really are. Oh, I love that. Your best shot is who you really are.
Well, the thing about golf is that, first of all, it's a game, but then again, you have to enjoy it. It has to make you happy. And yeah, once in a while, somebody's going to hit an amazing shot, and they're happy. But then again, then they hit some bad shots, and they're unhappy. So it's a little way off, in a way. Or, see, some people say, oh, I play army golf. That's right, going to the right, then going, next shot's to the left, next shot's to the right. Main thing is to focus and try to have a target, hit it toward that target, and then you'll straighten out your game.
I love that. Focus. Whatever it is you choose to do, focus on that passion, that goal, and you're going to get there no matter what. And yeah, you're going to veer off. We always all veer off, but we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. And be kind along the way. I like that.
Yeah.
Be kind. Be kind along the way.
Well,
That always helps.
I wasn't always like that. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got older. I mean, some people know what they're going to do when they're kids.
Yeah. I did, but still.
But once I knew, I set my goal, and I went for it.
Yep.
And whatever happened on the way.
Well, I wish we could talk forever because you've been a great guest, Glenn. Oh my gosh. You've been a great guest, and I really appreciate you stepping in at the last minute.
Well,
I'll probably have to have you back on because we can keep talking forever. This has been fun.
Well,
Anything you want to say to the viewers before I sign off here?
well, it was an enjoyable show. I liked talking about the way I look at golf in life. So I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks. And I hope the September show, I'll be happy to bring on Eric Lindbergh, renowned photographer. And again, this show, Staging the Third Act, is about, by, and for baby boomers who are navigating the last part of their lives, a long last part of their lives, without the focus of children and grandchildren. There's a lot of us who are doing creative and fabulous things. So thank you for stopping by and having some goodies and coffee and just enjoy and joining us. So until next time, this is Janine Escalier Cato.